G'day team, I hope everyone's trading's been going well recently, and I also hope you've been enjoying some time off, taking a break, getting around the Christmas, New Year's period, and hopefully having a bit of a holiday so you can reset your mind, refocus, and start crushing it in 2019. So it's a pleasure to be back. I haven't done a video for a little while, so it's awesome to be back recording again. And I thought we'd start with, of course, Bitcoin, and I thought we'd just jump back a little bit to have a bit of a high-level overview. We had a chart that I'd been following on TradingView that you would be very familiar with a couple of months ago, and for about 8 months before that as well. We'd been doing the same chart for ages. But it was on Bitfinex, and when the price on Bitfinex started diverging away from the Bitcoin futures and from all the other exchanges, it really messed up our long-term tracking a little bit. So that was a bit of a shame. So I've recreated it a little bit here on BitMEX, and everything up until here and forwards is what we're doing and what we've been doing, and then back in here is simply pulling a few of the major points from our Bitfinex chart across. So as you know, we were bullish at 6K, and in my opinion, I think that was a pretty fair argument. I feel like that was about a 50% chance there. We were starting to turn bullish. We couldn't hold it. We'd also had all of these lower highs coming in, so it's not like we were bullish. We'd still had failed to make a confirmation, so we were by no means confirmed bullish, but I felt like the stabilizing of the trend was really an opportunity for a turning point there. And then what we saw happen was we couldn't break up for a higher high. No matter how close these higher highs came, we just couldn't break up and make a higher high. So what ended up happening then was just this gigantic sell-off, and I think a lot of it was fueled by people that just had to sell and didn't want to miss out, right? Like ICOs, mining pools. Like, it wasn't profitable to mine Bitcoin in America, in Europe, in Australia, in lots of different countries. As soon as that price started to break down, ICOs that had to fund the next 1 or 2 years of their development, if they'd done their ICO anytime in here when Bitcoin was quite high, all of a sudden their capital was severely depleted, and they had to think about, well, we just have to sell because we need to secure some USD to pay our developers and to pay our marketing team and all that. And I think that really forced this crazy sell-off of people that just couldn't afford not to sell, right? Like, they had to get Bitcoin into dollars for whatever their purposes. And we saw this crazy, like, it's not often after such a long period of stabilization that you see such a sharp dramatic drop. You'd often see those earlier in the cycle, somewhere around here you'd see a second drop down, or maybe even here a second drop down. But when you really spend so long stabilizing, a drop on that scale, a 50% drop is really large. And I don't like, it was pretty out of the blue. But the good thing about that zone for us was we always had our stops there under these lows. Now, it wasn't confirmed bullish, so we couldn't just be like, all right, we'll just buy this and hold it forever, because we had no confirmation. In my mind, 6K was still a high price for Bitcoin, but I also thought it could be the fair price. It could be what people are willing to pay. I thought Bitcoin at 6K could be the bottom, and we could hold that, but it wasn't investing. I wasn't like, Bitcoin at 6K, that's an awesome investment. I was like, Bitcoin at 6K, if the market thinks it should hold 6K, I'm going to be long here, but I'm going to protect that with stop losses. So, pardon me, we saw those stops run. We made a couple of small trades here. Pardon me. We lost 2 and actually made 1 in profit on the way down. This entry is now flat, and then this one is in profits as well from the 3.2. So as you can see, this green line here, this was the main target that we had. And on BitMEX, it's not an exact match, but on Bitfinex and a number of other exchanges, this is an exact hit here. So you've got the high, the breakout, the retest. We haven't seen one of those. Like, obviously this high here, breakout, no retest. This high here, breakout, no retest. So the 3K zone was the last high that got broken out of and then retested again. And with it just seems to me like that's the strongest support. Now, we didn't quite get there. So I had a lot of leverage longs from 3.2 down to about 2.8. So only the tops of those filled. But that's fine as well, because we got some unleveraged buys here about 3.3, and then leveraged buys here at about the 3.2 mark. And we might see Bitcoin come back down in for maybe a double bottom, or look, I'm not going to speculate right now. We'll zoom in a bit here and we'll see what sort of trading range we're in. This is the sort of stuff that I don't like to trade. I like to avoid trading when Bitcoin's moving like this as much as possible. Like, we back up at 6K, we made a couple of good trades in there, but then in this entire zone here, we were out. Bitcoin's up and down in the same zone. For me, that's not tradable. I like to stick to longer term trends, and for me, there was no clear trend there. And it's the same here. We've got this sort of another lower high pattern emerging here where we're not able to break out and stabilize to make another move. So the daily cycle's coming down now. It's probably likely to turn around now, or perhaps we do get one more drop down, but the cycle is already low, so an extended move down in price it gets less likely the lower the cycle goes. So it's getting less likely. But we do need to be able to take out this resistance zone, and when we do take out this resistance zone, there's not much in between there and that 5.7k low again. Like, you've got 33% move there with there's really not much in the road. Like, if we can break into that resistance, break up and hold them, the move up to 6k is quite likely. Now, that's going to be it's going to be one mother of a resistance. There's no doubt about that. I was looking back through the 2014 correction cycle as well. A similar thing actually happened there, and this resistance did form. When the price got back to that resistance, it did form a big resistance, and we saw in 2014 a big drop after it came back in touch. Now, history might not repeat itself. We don't know, but I do expect that to be a big resistance, and I do expect the bulls to jump into this zone if we can break out of this and buying starts to happen. I do expect a lot of people to jump on this trade right up to 6k. I do expect 6k, or the 5.7 to 6k, just to be loaded with shorts. We're not sure if we're gonna jump on that bandwagon and open a short as well. Probably, or at least we'll be taking a lot of our leverage long profits off, because the chances for a range here, I'd say for an extended period of time, I'm talking a few months, I'd say that's definitely on the cards. We might be seeing this sort of open into a range. In 2014 or in 2015, when the bear market was sort of ended, we did see the double bottom come out off a move similar to this. It's not going to look exactly like that, but we could be seeing a tighter range for a while, breakout. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, and I'm not going to speculate on it, but as far as just a really quick sharp pump straight up and through that 6k and onwards, it's not likely. When we broke down from 6k, in my mind, that confirmed that we were going to see a full emotional market cycle really play out, and it was always on the cards, hence we were using stops and that. Like, I thought, yep, it's definitely possible, but I also thought it was possible that we'd get away with it. We wouldn't see the full cycle. So, what I'd expect going forwards is I believe that was the capitulation and anger stage. You only had to go into the cryptocurrency subreddits to just see they were toxic as hell. They're absolutely full of anger and angry people. Now, they don't represent every cryptocurrency trader. I'm sure like a lot of people weren't quite so furious, but I think that ICOs that had to sell, I think this capitulation is likely to be the capitulation stage, and that means what's likely to come next would be the depression cycle. So that's slow markets generally. It's a range like this for a fair few months, without many people getting too excited, without any new people really coming in. I think it's probably when we break up above 6K again and start to hold here that the new people will be coming back, or people that sold out a long time ago and swore they'd never be back into crypto will start to FOMO in again here, and that will be the fuel for the next sort of run. But until then, we could see a few months of pretty quiet market. But the cool thing about that is that's a 100% range. That's quite large. So if you're buying the bottom and selling the top here, you're making 100% on leverage. You could easily be making some really serious money. So while it's boring from an outsider's perspective, like I know all my casual mates that were in crypto have long since dropped off and it was just too boring for them, but 100% gains for me is far from boring. I think there's a lot of opportunity there while the markets are quiet to be secretly stacking up some gains in these trades. And I'm looking for long-term entries here. For me, as I said, I'm expecting this to sort of range and play boring for a while. I don't know if we're going to break this low. Like it's possible. I'm of the opinion now though that it is more of an investment. I said at 6K that it wasn't an investment. Buying Bitcoin at 6K was certainly a trade. I didn't think it was undervalued at that price. 3K, I'm definitely getting there. I think investment in Bitcoin at 3K, that does sound good to me. So a lot of these are going to be long-term positions, and even if we break down, the worst thing that's going to happen to a lot of people is if we break down and form something like that, and all these stops are going to get run under 3K, and the price is going to bounce back up and rally. And I've been studying a lot of different bubbles recently, like silver, gold, different commodities, and how they work over time. And you'll see that these sort of supports come up on the charts quite a lot. Just before the bubble really starts to explode, there's already been a strong move up, but there's been good retests of those support levels. And price never seems to actually go all the way down and touch those zones. Like this could be, say this was the bottom, this would be a prime example. Price actually only got to about, well, I can't see exactly, 3,100 and 3,100. So it's not actually touching those supports exactly. It's going towards them like a magnet, but it's not actually touching them. And the same would be true if we went and broke through again, like we were talking about. A lot of stops get run and then price rallies. So don't expect price to exactly hold this level. And I think that's the hardest part. If you're trying to trade this level, you would have your stops in here under the support somewhere like that. But I think the chances of those stops getting run are 50-50. I don't believe price is going to, or at least I believe it's a 50-50 chance that price is going to respect that level exactly. I think that having your stops underneath is going to be risky if you like the idea of investing in Bitcoin at 3K. So if you're someone that you see Bitcoin at 3K and you're like, yep, that's a good investment, then buying it in a trade and having your stops under here, that's risky because you could easily get stopped out and your idea of a good investment is now paying off as Bitcoin continues to climb back up. And you're going to have to FOMO in at some stage because you got stopped out of what would have been a really great trade. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the trade that's going to happen. That's not necessarily going to be how it works. But I just wanted to caution everyone of these exact levels actually holding. It's quite rare that they are just touched perfectly and then price moves on. Oftentimes it will pull up short or it will spike through and run a lot of stops and then continue up because that's just how price seems to move. Like on these larger moves, it just rarely exactly hits that support. So for anyone that's trading it with their stops underneath, I think that's risky. What I'm doing instead is I have a two-phase plan of investment. I'm investing here very heavily and on leverage at 3K. Now, not high leverage. I'm only going 1x, maybe 2x with some of the position, but that means that I will get liquidated if we get down to these levels. If there's a 50% drop, I'll actually be liquidated. But I've been in Bitcoin for a long time, and I've talked to a lot of other people that have been in Bitcoin for a long time. People with hundreds of Bitcoin, people with thousands of Bitcoin. I I am grateful that if we see a 17, like a $1,700 Bitcoin, or it would have to be even less, it'd have to be about $1,600 Bitcoin, which is very near the high in 2013. If we see that price, buying it there it's not even a no-brainer for me. It's just a reflex at that stage. And I don't want that to sound like, I know so many people on YouTube and that say that sort of shit, but and oftentimes they won't follow it up, but I'm gonna follow that up. The same as buying here at 3K. Like, a lot of people, like, when Bitcoin was 6K, they were like, oh, if Bitcoin gets down to 3K, I'm gonna buy heaps of Bitcoin. And then you see Bitcoin get to 3K, and you see crypto Twitter and all the social medias like, Bitcoin's going to 0, Bitcoin's going to 1K, and those same people are like, if Bitcoin gets to 1.5K, then I'm going to buy it. And chances are, if Bitcoin ever gets down there, they're not going to buy it again. But for me, Bitcoin at 3K is a very sensible investment. And for me, Bitcoin at 1.6, 1.7 is a great investment. For me, the risk reward on a 1.8K Bitcoin is astronomically in my favor. So I really am building investments now in this sort of area, and we'll see how that plays out. I think I'm building investments on the long side, and if we do get these moves up in price, like if we do come up to 6K, then I'd be happy to start trading that investment as well, because I can easily compound my gains then by making some small trades. But what I'm not trying to do is think too short term. Like, I wasn't taking profits here. I pointed it out saying that the cycle was high and that a retrace was likely, which it of course was, but I wasn't taking off my whole long here. No, I was just watching it because we knew we were going to see a retrace, and it's my hope that that is the bottom of a longer move, a general move upwards in price, not a spike up. This isn't going to happen overnight, but for me, this is the plan that I'm most comfortable with. I couldn't stand to be the guy that Bitcoin was at 3K and I say, all right, but guys, let's buy it down here at 1.7 when it gets there, because it very well might never get there, and you've just missed out on one of the best opportunities of a lifetime. So for me, the risk reward is a no-brainer. And I want everyone to make up their own decisions. Everyone has different risk tolerances and everyone has different opinions. So just because I'm saying what I'm saying doesn't mean that you have to do the exact same thing. We very well might see a Bitcoin price down at 1,800, but I know for me, that's the chances of it getting there, I just feel, are too low, because there's too many smart people with a lot of money between 3K and 1.6K to actually let the price get that low. So that's an overview of my long-term Bitcoin philosophy. As you can see, there's the shorter term moves mapped out here as well for anyone that wants to day trade. That's not my scene at this stage anyway. Like, I had to do a lot of trading that I didn't like to do around here. I like to do this sort of thing, build and be buying again and again if we can see price starting to move up. So that's the way I'm playing that, and I think that's Bitcoin for. It's not worth speculating on. I don't know what the time frame will be, but I think we'll see a pretty subdued market with a maximum of about 100% for a few months. And then if we can get some steam behind us and break out that 6K and hold that area, then that's your second opportunity to start building longs. You build longs here. If we can break out and hold, you build longs there. That's the simplest and easiest way to be playing this next move. And if you're wanting to build shorts because you think you've got targets here, well, you should really have been building them when the daily cycle was high, up in this resistance zone here. We'll jump onto the weekly really quickly. Yeah. Now, this is the main reason that I'm bullish in the next few months. And these are the charts that I like to watch, right? Weekly charts. It's been hard to do Bitcoin weekly charts because there wasn't much data. In the run up, all we had was this insane bullish move, like off the scale bullish and you didn't have much to compare it to. But now what we're seeing is extremely low and a cycle turn up here. And like that's a long time, right? It's like the middle of 2019 that it might take a bit sooner, maybe 3 or 4 months. Who knows? I'd expect the cycle line up somewhere with the 6K, depending on a few different things. But that's why I'm bullish, right? And you can see there's not enough data here, but if you jumped on a Bitfinex chart, price actually has just kissed the 200 MA line there. That's the slow long-term moving average. On the weekly, it's just bumped into that. We've got a low cycle cross coming up. For me, this just supports my investment thesis, right? Like a move from here down would have the stochastics and the RSIs. If we drop to 1.7, it would be very much the opposite of this bull market. As much as that bull market was up, this would then be down. And look, that's just not my scene. This is my scene, so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So let's have a quick look at a few different alt trades. Pardon me. So this is one that I'm watching to get into, Zil. We've seen it be holding this trend up, broke the trend, came down, daily cycle crossed, and has been moving down since. We saw the rally today, straight back into that. It'll be interesting to see if that turns resistance and we get some buys around here, or if we're back up on top of that trend again, moving up. We'll have to see. For me, it wasn't an opportunity. Like it didn't speak enough to me to be buying in here. I thought about buying in the bottom of the bands. Like you can see, that's where the moves have been holding in this bullish trend, but I already have enough long exposure without adding anything too speculative that's already up to my portfolio there. So I was happy to let that one run. And if we get a bigger retrace, then I'll be happy to add there. And I want to show you Cardano as well, which is another one that I've been watching with the exact same story actually here. Was holding the trend, broke the trend, came down near the bottom of the bands, and is now touching that resistance again. What I'd like to see is this cycle fully come down, this one come down a bit more too, and actually see something in this zone here. I think that's your good value buy if you can get it in here. The same as Zil is exactly the same. It's got a very similar structure. They've been two coins that have been bullish. And they're the ones that I've been watching. So let's have a little bit of a look at some of our other trades. This has been some knife catching that we've been doing. Don't know what that's doing there. On coins that have been low and have been able to be holding since before like the new year, with a couple of nice spikes up in price from the similar areas. So this is one we're watching, and sort of broken its trend there, but it's holding this horizontal support. We're hoping it'll hold there, and yeah, there's the two different philosophies, right? Buying into the strong trend if you're buying into Zil or Cardano, or try to pick up some value here on coins that have, like, if we zoom out a bit, the upside potential of these is astronomical. Like you can see where we are in the long term there, and again, this is when Bitcoin was around the 6K. You can see it stabilizing with a good chance of turning up. The same thing's happening here again. So, and volume's coming back as well to a lot of these coins. So for me, like the risk reward here is another no-brainer. You've got 2,500% to get back to all-time high, and I think that's a bit speculative. I don't think we're probably going to see all-time highs on a lot of these coins. I just don't think a lot of coins are not going to be able to deliver anywhere near enough value to the market to get back to their all-time highs. But when you've got, say, 600% or 500% just back to some of the consolidation zones, some of the longer-term support and resistances, then that's what we're really trading. You can see a couple of levels that we've marked out as different targets there. So that's one. Ontology. Same again. Now this one's up nicely from our entry. Well, it's not up much, up 10% or something like that. I think there we go. I don't know what's going on here. I must have made some mistakes with my my chart somehow resaved over them, because these levels aren't right at all. But you can see what we've been doing. Straight on to, like, that's easy days there. Lots of volume came in, a good buy, straight up into the resistance, and now sideways. And I think we're probably going to see that happen with Bitcoin going sideways. This is just a way of diversifying my reward. If I'm right about the Bitcoin trade, then it's likely that I'm going to be right about these altcoin trades, and they'll be right in a bigger way than Bitcoin. They'll be able to deliver extra returns that Bitcoin has not been able to deliver. So we see Icon here, ICX. So far playing it perfectly. This is what we're looking for. Like, this cycle's come down now, straight in the buy zone. You've got your long-term support there. Well, long-term's a bit of a stretch, but you've got your intermediate-term horizontal support there. You can see the trend starting to come up now. It's broken that trend a little bit. I don't know what that's going to mean. Potentially, that could be a little bit bearish, but I think it does depend a lot on Bitcoin here, what Bitcoin does. So, as I said, these trades are trying to buy value at low prices in the anticipation of Bitcoin showing strength over the next few months, and that's where I think the win will be. 0x exactly the same. That was 1. That's 2. Long-term support levels there. That's on the weekly. That's why it's a little bit longer term. So, as you can see, what you're doing is very risky, right? Like, but lots of risk comes with lots of reward. You see the breakdown, you pick the bottom. Break down, pick the bottom. Break down, pick the bottom. Now we're still in this trend of lower highs, right? So you're really going to be watching this horizontal resistance. You're not going to be watching you're not going to be watching the horizontal resistance. You're going to be watching the trend line down to take profits, because chances are price isn't going to get up there. It's gonna probably make another lower high. So that's what we're watching there. So you can see our strategy now. It's pretty clear. We're trying to buy value. We're trying to buy low prices on projects that we do believe in, but not from an investment perspective. I'm still trading alts. I'm not investing in alts yet. These are, I guess, more cold-hearted, I guess you'd say. They're more technical. With Bitcoin, I truly believe that a $3,000 Bitcoin is good value. I do believe it could go lower as well, but I believe it's good value. Whereas these altcoins, I think, are far too speculative. And I'm not going to be the one to try and tell you that it's good value to buy now, or it's not good value to buy now. But I'm looking at some good trades, and trades that I'm excited about, like these low cycles, right? You've seen a lot of correlations here, right? This has happened before. And I think if Bitcoin can hold, at least go sideways and hopefully show some strength, then these trades will be netting us some really juicy returns. So I know that was a bit of a long video there. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got some value out of it. Yeah. It was great to talk to you guys. Enjoy, if you're still on holidays, enjoy the rest of your holidays. And if you're back to work, good luck with that. All right, guys. It was great to talk to you. Until next time. See ya.